welcome back to our channel, My Construction Education LLC. This is your host, Jerome Mendia Sr. We're a Texas State Board approved provider for plumbers continuing education. And just finishing up with a class here today. Thought I'd take some time to visit with you here on our channel. And something that came up at a class that we wanted to spend some time is about apprentice. That was a pretty good question. We may do a couple of series on this, but to start, one of the things that came up that I thought was pretty interesting was not just from this group of apprentice, but how they were discussing how they became apprentice. And a lot of them were wondering, well, maybe one of the things that came up that I thought was pretty interesting was not just from this group of apprentice, but how they were discussing how they became apprentice. And a lot of them were wondering, well, maybe there's others that are thinking the same thing. How and what does it take to become a Texas apprentice plumber? Now, the ones that we had in class today obviously are licensed apprentice. They're doing their continuing ed. They're working on their drain cleaner restrict, or some are working on their RUI, residential utility installer. You had a couple others that were removing the restrict and moving up at 4,000 hours for the drain cleaner. Now, some of the things I'm talking about you may or may not be familiar with, and that's part of what this channel is about, is to drop some education and maybe some direction. So if our school can help you out, that's pretty much what we're here for. Well, let's get things kicked off. We're going to head over to the State Board's website. And we're going to move on over to license types. We got license types, apprentice registration. So we're going to click here on that tab. And there you go. It's the infamous red Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners registration. This is what the card looks like for registered apprentice. For those that were in attendance in today's class, they had over here on the I believe it'd be over here on the right-hand side, showing their endorsements. So if they had all three, or if they had their RUI, or if they had their drain cleaner, then that would be showing up here as apprentice endorsements. Pretty cool. Now, one of the things that we may be spending some time in going over, especially as we start to get more questions on what about this, what about that, is what are the requirements? And so what we'll do here today is we'll spend time on the requirements to obtain an apprentice. And as we see here on the State Board, Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners website, the eligibility requirements, and this is not the first time you're going to see this. You'll also see it on the application. You can be a registered plumber's apprentice if you're at least 16 years of age. You're a citizen or national U.S. or alien non-immigrant eligible for licensure by the state of Texas. And to register as a plumber's apprentice, you must submit a completed application. $15. Now, this completed application, let's talk about this. This completed application can be submitted through a portal. That's one of the things that we'll discuss here with you, is you can submit it through a portal account. And I would say you need and would want to set up a portal account, because that'll get you taken care of from here on out during your career. And that portal account, it's fairly easy, and we'll cover that here on how to register. The second way that you can register is you could print out the application and mail it down to the state board. And then the third would be just hand delivering it, taken down to the Austin office. Bring your $15 and get registered there at the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners. What would be the easiest? The easiest would be set up an online portal account. Here we have, and this is same thing that you would have access when you get to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners website. You've got the Plumbers Apprentice registration application. What if, well, I just did some things that, hey, life happens, and do I need to report those? Well, it may very well depend. For sure, if you were convicted, then you want to submit this supplemental criminal history information form. Either way, if you got questions, do I need not need to, call down to the state board. In our first episode, we had gone through that home page or that contacts page, homepage and then the contacts page to show you how to do that virtual tour. If you go to that same page that we showed you how to do the virtual tour, that'll have all the contact information, and you can call their on their directory. So, how to register? As a plumber's apprentice, you've got to submit the application. $15 is what it costs. You only have to pay that once a year. So to keep that card current, you've got to keep paying that renewal fee, but it's only once a year. The quickest and easiest way to submit, as it states here, would be by going via online license system. So I'm going to click on this, and this is going to walk you through on setting up a online portal account. Now, what if you're a first-time user? In my case, I've got me an account that I've had since the time that I had gotten my journeyman onto my master's and other endorsements. So as long as I've remembered that, sometimes I'm like, man, what did I use as a password? But you'll put in your user ID and your password, and that'll get you logged in. If you're a first-time user, then you just set up your account here, begin here for sign up, and it'll just walk you through the steps. Same way as any online account, and that is going to be the easiest way to get your application rolling. Plus, you can even pay online. We'll show you here in just a bit of what that application looks like. It also says that, just like we mentioned, you can mail it. So if you're going to mail the application, you can send it, and it's available to be downloaded. You can click here. They also explain that you need to get all your documents in with your application. As mentioned earlier, if you've been convicted of a felony, you must also submit a supplemental criminal history information form, or known by its acronym, a SHIF, along with your apprentice application. So there as well, they're showing the applications and the forms. Fingerprints. So now, for all apprentice, all plumbers, especially if you're a newcomer or if you're reapplying, you're going to want to get your fingerprints done. So that is another item. All applicants and examinees in the state of Texas are required by law to submit their fingerprint data. One of the questions we get asked in our classes, so what if I've been fingerprinted and I've got concealed carry? What if I've worked on some high security jobs? Hey, what if I was a peace officer? I've gotten fingerprinted. I don't need to get fingerprinted, right? And the answer is, well, did you follow the process? And we'll click here. Did you follow the process to get with Identigo? And chances are, from what we're discovering from class to class, is that individuals, and we'll show you here that on their handy sheet, individuals may have gone through Identigo, but were not submitting their fingerprints to the State Board of Plumbing Examiners. In other words, what they did it for was for a very specific project, job, or process, like their concealed carry. So the answer would be no. Those fingerprints could not be utilized. What we've understood and what we've come to learn, that as far as fingerprint information, agency to agency does not share this information with one another. So State Board of Plumbing Examiners would need to have your fingerprints taken care of for them and for them only. And here's that fingerprint instructions. And if you did it with Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners and you utilized the service code, then the answer would be, yeah, you got your fingerprints done. But as we've learned from class to class, there is a very slim likelihood that you went to utilizing this to get it submitted over to the state board. As I mentioned before, if you've got questions, you're more than welcome to call our school, or you can call down to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, and they'll be happy to get you answered. And just make sure that if you've got questions on the fingerprints, that you've gotten on file, if those can be utilized. I will say, just like I mentioned from that form before, if it was not utilizing the TSBPE code that is prescribed for that to be filed with the plumbing board, chances are they're not going to be applicable. Scope of work permitted. So what can I do? What can I do as a plumber's apprentice? Plumber's apprentice, as it states here, can assist with installation of plumbing under the direct supervision of a licensed plumber. Direct supervision means that a person who holds a plumbing license issued by the plumbing board is on the job site and you all times are performing plumbing work. If a licensee is not present, then a plumber's apprentice may only perform manual tasks like digging, can be getting parts, inventory. So there's plenty of jobs that an individual that can be performing, but it's very limited, very limited. So if I was you, I'd get this plumber's apprenticeship card because, hey, you never know, you're going from inventory or a project setup to, hey, you need you to come over and help me with this. Why not get that time to count towards your apprenticeship? And then little by little, you would be surprised how quickly that time starts to gather up. And before you know it, you may be sitting for your tradesman or journeyman. I would get that apprenticeship card as soon as you can. Goes on to state a little bit to what I was bringing up, but we can just follow it right here. Important. So you must register as a plumber's apprentice before you can start counting your hours of experience you may be working in the plumbing trade. So any hours worked before you were registered, they don't count. These hours don't count towards the hours of the requirements to either be a tradesman or a journeyman. And then obviously the only way you can get those licenses, you got to sit for the examination. But you've got to show proof of OJT, on job training. And the only way you can show proof here in the state of Texas is you've got to have that Texas plumber's apprenticeship card. Keep that thing current. You never know, do a little bit of hours here, a little bit of hours there. And before you know it, you've got time built up to sit for the examination. You meet the education requirements, submitting your application with a fee, and just wait by your email. Pearson VUE sends you over a congratulations, set up an account with Pearson VUE, and next thing you know, you're getting yourself scheduled off for an exam date. What else do we have here? Plumber's apprentice who meet these eligibility requirements may obtain a drain cleaner restrict, a drain cleaner registrant, or a residential utility installer registrant. And then you got your click here. And there may be a video series that we may set up here in the near future to lay out some of this pathway in detail. Fees, you're looking at $15 as we mentioned earlier. The renewal fee is still the same price, $15 every year. What if it's like, man, it expires here in the month of November, expires in the month of July, and now you're sitting about a month later? Well, late fee, if it expires less than 90 days, you're looking to add to that $15, $7.50. Yep. So you got a whole year. You got a whole year. Set it on your calendar and you got that reminder to go ahead and pay. Now, what happens if it's past 90 days? You're looking at $15 plus that 15 that you need to pay for renewal. So that's a total of $30 there if it passes a 3-month period. Back to the scope of work and even the possible endorsements. That is something that we're seeing more and more, just like today's class that we had, is that more and more plumbers are looking to not only advance themselves, but take advantage of the pathways. And it's like, well, I thought the only way I could get a license or any endorsements was I had to be a journeyman. And that's not the case. Even as an apprentice, you see it here, possible endorsements. Even as an apprentice, you can obtain endorsements under your apprentice. And that's what I was mentioning. We may do some video series to better explain those. Check them out yourself. So you don't have to wait on us, or if it's something that you would like us to move up and advance in a video series, we'd be happy to take some suggestions. So be sure to send some comments our way. But, yeah, endorsements that you could pick up are the Drain Cleaner Restrict, the RUI, Residential Utility Installer. Drain Cleaner Restrict, you could pick that up with very little time. As a matter of fact, there is not a hour requirement. You do have to meet the education requirement. As of right now, they still have the affidavit as a 25 question test, or or you could be in one of our classes. There is the 6 hour apprentice continuing ed, and that does allow you to utilize that education certificate that you obtain to sit for that requirement to pick up your drain cleaner restrict. So in other words, you take the class, fill out the application, submit that over to the state. You can do that in the portal, and then you get that added to your apprenticeship card. Same thing goes for residential utility installer. Those are individuals that can install water lines and sewer lines residentially. So your yard lines, as some of us plumbers call them, and these individuals can go out and work on these projects. If they're skilled and trained and know all of the safety and requirements to get those utilities installed, why not? You have plenty of companies that have utilized their apprentice as technicians in this arena with that endorsement. Now there is a time requirement. You have to have at least a year under your belt, 2,000 hours. You got to have the education requirement, so it's the 25 question affidavit that you can pick up here online, or you can take one of our classes, a 6 hour apprentice continuing ed, utilize that certificate. If you meet the time requirement of the 1 year holding your apprenticeship card, fill out the application. You can do that in the portal and get your money sent over for picking up that endorsement. State reviews it, and the next thing you know, you've got it right there in the mail. And so that looks really good on a resume. Plus, if you're working with a company that could utilize that endorsement, even more bang for yours and for their buck. I'm going to go here on the apprentice registrant application. I'll tell you what I'll do, because I think I've already got that uploaded. I have already uploaded that. Well, while that is uploading, one of the things that we wanted to show you here, and a lot of what we've covered in that first page of information, you're going to see it here as well on the application. So here on the application, we can see that we've got the address of the state board, the header. So we do have the right application here. This is for Plumbers Apprentice Registrant application. Got a reminder. Let's see what this is about. This applicant and many others can be obtained and completed entirely online. So they're even trying to give you a big flag and saying, hey, try this out and utilize this. So couldn't express it more or better myself. Get in, set yourself an online account, and that way you've got that set up for the rest of your career and pathway. Let me see if I can make this just a little bit bigger for you guys, and so that way we can see this just a tad better. Minimum requirements. We've touched on this, but let's just make sure we've got our checklist. You've got to have proof that the applicant is authorized to work lawfully in the United States, 16 years of age. Fingerprints. We've touched on this. Required for all apprentice registrants. This is a one-time. Now that I didn't mention earlier, but once you've gotten your fingerprints, that is a question we have come up in our classes. Do I need to do it when I get my endorsements on my apprentice card? Do I need to get fingerprinted again when I get my journeyman, my tradesman, heck, even my master's? And the answer is no. You only have to get your fingerprints one time. It's a state mandated obligation and cannot be transferred between agencies. So like we mentioned, a state board or TDLR, TCEQ, could be the DMV, any state agency. They're not sharing information. So for that, it's a very strong likelihood that yes, you are probably going to need to get fingerprinted again, even though you did it for one of the other agencies. Submit your non-refundable application with the $15, and you're just waiting by the mailbox for that to show up. If an applicant has a plumber's apprentice registrant that is current or has been expired for less than 2 years, then you don't need to reapply. Instead, just renew the license online, and then you're going back to the set of instructions. You can call down there, hey, it's been a while since I got into my account, try to reset it. And back to the contacts page, there is an online helpline that can help you out with that if it's been a minute since you last got into your portal account, your online account. Processing time. So this is a good one. It's like, Mendias, you told me that I should be waiting by the mailbox. Well, how long? Allow to about 45 business days for the processing, return of the pocket card, sending the application via our U.S. Postal Service. As stated at the top, apprentice registration applications are submitted online or processed considerably fast. So if you're looking at the 45 days, is there a likelihood that you could get that done a bit quicker? We've had plumbers that have received it within 10 days to 2 weeks, and then we've had some that have taken 30 to 45. So I can't tell you for sure what process they did, other than the ones that did process their application on the online service did get it a bit sooner. You do have the high school acceleration training program, the HATS program. Excuse me. This is for students enrolled in a qualified high school plumbing training program. And this is fairly new. For those that are here, part of our audience that are well aware of this, we'd like to hear from you. Share what has been your experience. So this is hasn't been many years that this program has been in place, and it's been quite successful. Out of this, you have high schoolers that are starting as young as eighth grade, ninth grade, and then on up that are working towards their tradesman license. So finish out, graduate from high school, get that high school diploma, and if they've completed the HATS program, if they've completed their high school program that is approved through the State Board of Plumbing Examiners, then these individuals are able to sit for their tradesman license. Pretty cool. These are opportunities that some of us plumbers didn't have, but it's really nice to know that the younger generations have these opportunities. Renewal of registrant. So Plumbers Apprentice registrations are assigned a random expiration date. The expiration date will be printed on the pocket card and will receive after the registrant application is approved. Apprentice registrations must be renewed each year, as we're stating, on or before the expiration date. Renewal notice will be sent via email. So keep that email account current. Be checking your email, and they're saying that they'll send this out 65 days before you expire. So you even get a reminder. But just remember that it's your responsibility. They even have it right here in bold print. It's the apprentice responsibility to make sure his or her current address is on file with the board, and it's your responsibility to keep your license current, to keep that renewed. All personnel information can be updated quickly, and the easiest and best way that you could do that is in your portal account, in your uh, online account. Applicants' identity will be verified. So current, not expired U.S. or state government issued photographic identification, such as a driver's license, a passport, state issued identification, must be submitted with the application. Credit for work experience. So when applying for a plumbing license or certain endorsements, applicants must submit proof of work experience in the plumbing trade. Applicants will only receive credit for hours worked if the work was completed while the applicant held a current plumber's apprentice registrant. So this goes back to what we're saying and why it's so important to get this card and keep it current. So keep in mind what we're saying here as far as credit for work experience. If I'm wanting to continue my pathway, if I'm wanting to be in this profession, in Texas, the way that this is tracked was with this apprenticeship card. It's current. I'm out here working. I'm a high school student that's working during the summers and after school. Well, that time that I'm accruing is going towards my hours, the hours that I'm needing to sit for examination, hopefully for one day, and it happens pretty quick for my tradesman or for my journeyman. And finally, we get to the application itself. There you go. The application is very similar to the online service. And as you can see, even from the way this form is designed, I can go in here and PDF. I can fill this out, and you want to be completely honest. You want to be completing this form and every piece of information that is needed, every box that needs to be checked, especially when you get to these two questions, number 10 and number 11. Has the applicant ever been convicted of a misdemeanor in this or any other state? And just check yes or no. Just be honest. Has the applicant ever been convicted of a felony in this or any other state? Just check yes or no. And then it explains here, well, in this case for number 11, we're going to need a little bit more information. I will tell you this, and even though it sounds like, but that was a long time ago, there is a criteria for time that is reviewed. But the best that I can tell you on these is be honest, and not only be honest, but think of it this way: the board is going to look at the individual, and I've seen plenty of cases. I've sat there as a just public member, just listening to the board, listening to the staff, and during these cases, it's about the individual. Sometimes it works in their favor, and sometimes it's not what we want to hear. But the way I see it is you present it and let them review you as an individual. And then just take it from there. Whatever advice, whatever information, whatever additional information that they're needing, then just provide it to them. So you go through the form, complete what's needed. You even have on here about the fingerprints. So they're making sure that you get everything that is needed and included, so that way there is no gaps. Get this apprenticeship card over to you as soon as possible. Even down here, they explain why not set up yourself an online account, and they even go over about the public license search. That's pretty cool that you'll be having your license up there, your apprenticeship card, and then also have your name and lights. Start your career in the plumbing industry. So pretty excited for you, and I hope that you get this card pretty quick. I hope you get this apprenticeship card. If you're on the fence and considering, hey, I'd get off the fence and I get on this pretty quick. If you got questions, feel free to reach out to us. You've got our information, and also you've got the state board's plumbing examiners information. So feel free to reach out to any one of us. We're here to help you out. Hey, for those that have had their apprenticeship card and are looking to work towards their endorsements, shouldn't be anything stopping you. Get here on the state board. Check with your employer. They may even have some pathways set up. But if there's things that we can help you out on working through those pathways, feel free to reach out to us here at My Construction Education, My CE. Any one of our staff would be happy to visit with you and just set up some pathway. No matter if you've taken classes with another plumbing school, or you've started on some of these classes, or you have no idea what classes do I need to take. And the other avenue that I mentioned earlier is get with the State Board of Plumbing Examiners.